Welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for joining me. So today I am going to be sharing with you why your house might not be selling. So as I was preparing to do my series on how to buy your next investment / short-term rental property, I came across some properties and I thought, maybe people don't know why their house is not selling. So now I'm not a listing agent. I am an investor and I use the MLS to find properties. Specifically, I look for properties that have been on the market 90 days and beyond. So these properties that I'm getting ready to show you are some examples of why your house might not be selling. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through, there's about 10 pictures here that I'm going to give you an example of. Leave your comments if you agree with me, or, maybe I'm just off base here, but when I look for a property, and right now I'm looking for more of a turnkey property, something that I don't have to go in and do a whole lot of rehab to, or I'm going to be using this as a negotiating tool, because you can do that too. So as you search for properties, so let's get the slide presentation up here, and we will then kind of talk about this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the pictures a little bit bigger so that you can actually see them and not me. So this is entitled, why your house might not be selling. So these are pictures of homes that I took right off of that MLS, and they have been on the market for 90 days, some of them for even longer. So on this particular property, what I saw, it's nicely done as far as, it doesn't look like it needs a lot of rehab, but I'm not really fond of the fireplace right next to the kitchen. And for me, this is just a little too bland in terms of too much brown. You got your brown cabinets, you got the brown base and everything. So for me, I'm looking for a short-term rental, and there's a ton of properties available, so I can be picky. So this one is just not doing it for me. I think it would be weird to stage it. And maybe when this property was listed, maybe it would be more appealing to me if it was staged. So I'm looking for something that I can just go in super quick and, get it up and running. Now, this particular house, this is the view when you walk into the property. This is the first thing that people would see. So you can tell it's a little bit smaller space, but that is actually the side of the refrigerator. So for me, that is not going to work. And there was no other place to put the refrigerator. And you could tell it's a small space. And so to even make this, remember, short-term rentals are all about guest experience. But even as a buyer, if I was thinking about buying this for me personally to live here, when I walk in, I do not want to be greeted by the side of a refrigerator. Now, this picture, again, this property is beautiful. It happened to be a condo, and I liked it, right? But there was something really off about this that just kind of made me go, huh. So if you'll notice, and you'll probably see it a little bit better, but it's about the refrigerator. So I want you to look at the space above the refrigerator. And it's kind of hard to tell from this angle of the picture, but, I guess I'm going to go back. I'm sorry. But this, like, the refrigerator doesn't fit the space. It's too small. And if you did have and you can see how much it sticks out from the side of where the cabinet's supposed to be. And this is a small refrigerator. So when I went through and looked at the different pictures, I'm like, okay, a full-size refrigerator would even look more out of place and take up more room. So this design of this kitchen is not going to work for me because I feel like I'm going to have to do too much. And it's just not going to be convenient. Plus, where the side of the fridge goes next to the stove area there's a huge gap. And so that's just going to be, a place where food's going to collect, dirt's going to collect, trash is going to collect. So extra cleaning, having to pull out that refrigerator. So that's why I'm not liking this property. Now, this property, it was very interesting. So you can tell that it needs some work. And literally in the description said all new and updated with new carpet and new paint. Now, this does not look updated to me. And you can see some, even in this picture, you can see kind of the patchiness of the carpet. So what this does say to me, because I did like the layout of the home, And so carpet and paint are not really that big of a deal when you're rehabbing a house. This house, what I would use this for is negotiating, because it does need a full paint. You can kind of see underneath that one cabinet. This happens to be the kitchen area. And you can kind of see that, that they kind of went into it. So I'm not sure why they said it was all newly updated, fresh paint and all that, because if that's the case, they did a bad job. Now, because I know that, and if it really had been freshly painted and freshly carpeted, here's the other thing I would look at. If that's the best that they could do, I would want to know who did the work and what else might be wrong with the property. So that's just a little telltale sign, but you could use this as a negotiating. So I did like the layout of this property. I just thought it was interesting that this house, and it has been on the market, all these houses I'm showing you have been on the market for more than 90 days. Now this property, again, it looks, like they renovated it. I like the colors. I like the layout, but can you see what I see? So what you want to do is look at, where does the oven door come out from that cabinet? Now, the oven door probably does fold down so that you can get things out, but it seems too close to that, whatever that cabinet is. And then that cabinet, you can see, extends in front of the patio door. So I'm not sure why they brought maybe they wanted more storage. They didn't want to take that out. But for me, that's just kind of weird. And from a guest perspective, it seems like there could be a lot of damage to that cabinet, and that's next to the stove. I'm not talking about the drawers. I'm talking about the cabinet, so you can see that open up. So I don't really think, if it had been me, I would have just taken that cabinet out and made a shorter one if they needed space between the wall and the side of the stove there. But for me, this doesn't work, and I'm not sure why they covered up the patio. So now this house, okay, so, it's a little messy. And, I know sometimes, when sellers are putting their house on the market, they're cluttered, their dishes and things. Maybe their real estate agent didn't tell them to, clean off the cabinets, because you can tell that this is a galley kitchen. So it's kind of narrow. The picture taking, the photographer, or the photography of this picture also is very narrow. So, but some of the homes that were built in the 70s, they kind of have that, they have that look, and it doesn't mean it's bad at all. But can you see what I see? It's in the corner across from the refrigerator. So for me, that doesn't work. That doesn't work for a short-term rental, for an Airbnb. It's unsightly, it's very, I think, kind of almost claustrophobic, because you have to go out. I'm assuming that door goes to either a pantry or the garage. I think it goes to the garage. And you have to walk between the refrigerator and between the hot water to go out. So this house, I had to have a hard pass on it. So if I was the listing agent, and I don't do listings, but if I was, I'd say, okay, let's do a couple things here. Let's get, kind of clean it up. And then if there's some other way, if that's a garage on the other side of the wall, it's not really that expensive to pipe it for the other side. And I can't tell if that has a pan underneath it. So that might not even work. But that water heater in the corner does not work for me. Okay, so this is sort of a pet peeve of mine just in general. And when I buy properties, I kind of picture myself as, could I live in this property, or could I be in this space? So one thing that is just a complete turnoff for me is doors. This is the front door, and it opens up right to the stairway. So again, this property was beautiful. The layout was actually good, except for this one thing. It's like, I don't like to open the door, and the first thing I see is the stairs. It makes it hard to stage it, because when I want my guests to walk in, I want them to be wowed. They open it up, it gives them kind of that open floor plan, and I want the wow factor. And I don't think you can have a wow factor with the first thing you see is stairs. So that was a hard pass for me on this one as well. Now, this property probably could be okay, but there were some things. Again, I'm looking for turnkey, looking for that wow factor. So can you guess what it is about this property that I might say, and again, this property has been on the market almost 6 months. So one of the things that just really struck out with me is you can tell, like, okay, I'm going to give it some positive things. So because of the colors they used, it makes the property seem very open. But how many types of flooring do you see? Okay, there's quite a few different flooring elements going on. So for me, that was a no-brainer. You've got the stairs that have kind of, I guess, maybe laminate. You've got the different tiles. So it just didn't work for me because I would have to redo all of that. Because remember, I'm looking for a property that's pretty much turnkey. Now, if this was a property that appealed to you, you could use this flooring as maybe a negotiation tool. But remember, I'm looking for a property that's more turnkey and not a lot of repairs. And so flooring for me in this one is just was a no. Okay, now this property, I know it's the back, but here's what I want to look at, because when we talk about short-term rentals, one of the things that you might find a really good deal, but it's maybe not in the ideal location. And one of the things that your guests are going to do is they're going to want to feel safe. So if I see a property, which I think I have an example of here with bars on the windows, or this is a cage around the air conditioner so it doesn't get stolen, then I might, maybe it's going to be okay for owner finance or maybe long-term rental, but a short-term rental, because it's only the view of your guests. So if the guest feels like it's unsafe and they start writing that, oh, cute property, but I didn't feel safe, or, if they start saying things, then that's going to impact your future bookings. So you kind of have to think about all of these elements as if your guests were looking at this. Okay. Now this one, okay, this is an example of bars on the window. Doesn't mean that it is, maybe this is just what the seller said, but also in both of those, for the last one and the other one, I did happen, because I had the address, I looked up the area, and the first one was very high crime rate area, and this was second. So again, it depends on your exit strategy, but again, I'm looking for short-term rental property and I'm trying to get the best deal in the best location. So for me, this was a no, because I felt like the guest would have a problem with staying in a property that the first thing they did is they pulled up and they saw bars on the window. Now, those are just some of my ideas. What do you think? Do you think that I was right on? Was I off base? Let me know in the comments below. And also, give me a follow on Instagram at NancyWallaceLobs.com, or Nancy Wallace Lobs. I guess there's no com. My website is ignitethewealth.com. And of course, give me a subscribe on this channel. It helps me out, helps me with that algorithm. And, leave me feedback. If you think that I was off, I want to hear it. If you think I was right on, I want to hear that too. So thanks again for watching. And hey, I'll see you guys real soon.